Hello, I wanted to talk today about sharing cake. Yum. I've made this cake specially for my mother-in-law because it's her birthday today. Sharing cake is really fractions because sharing and dividing, lots of fractions and dividing have lots of similarities. Fractions are all about division and division can be written as fractions. So our denominator, that's the bottom number in a fraction, is how many parts we cut something into. So if I had my cake and I wanted to cut it into 12 pieces, my denominator would be 12. My bottom number is going to be 12. And to cut it into 12 pieces, I'd have to think about how many slices I would need to make. Well, the first thing I'd do would probably be to cut it into half. 1/2. But that's only 2 pieces now, isn't it? My bottom number, cut it into 2 pieces, that's my bottom number. If I wanted to cut it into 12 pieces, I need to find a number that I can multiply my 2 by to get to 12, because they're on the bottom half of my fraction. This line here is like a divide line. So I'm going to think of numbers that I can times my 2 by to get to 12. And the number I'd need would be 6. 2 times 6 is 12. But it's a bit tricky to do that many lines. So I'm going to break that down again. So I want 2 numbers that will make 6 when I times them together. So I'm going to choose 2 and 3. Because if I divide by 2, cut my cake into 2 pieces, and then divide by 2 again, that will give me 1/4, because I've now got 4 pieces. 2 times 2, I'm dividing by 2 and dividing by 2 again. That means cutting in 2 again. Now I've got 4 pieces. If I cut each of these 4 pieces in 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. All together, now I've got 12 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces. Because 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 gives me 12. So I've cut my cake into 12 pieces. That's my denominator, my bottom number. Okay, because it's how many parts I'm cutting something into, how many times I'm dividing it, what I'm dividing it by, okay? If I wanted to have more than one piece, my numerator is my important number. That's when I'm talking about the top number. So this evening at our standing outside my mother-in-law's house party, where we're going to go and stand outside and stay 2 meters away and sing happy birthday, we're going to need 9 pieces of our cake. So the numerator is the 9, because we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people have a slice of their cake. So we'll have 3 slices left over. Our 9 is how many parts we've got. Now then, what we're really looking at today is fractions of amounts, and that's how we can work out values from things like that. Sometimes we might need to know what 3/4 of 20 is, or what 4/5 of 70 is, for whatever reason. In this case, I know that my whole cake has got 6,000 calories in it. It's a huge number, but it is a really nice cake. And I want to know how many calories there are going to be, because I'm on a bit of a diet, in each slice. And I'm going to cut the cake, remember, into 12 pieces. So I want to know how many calories there is in 1/12 of 6,000. Now then, I've written 1/12 of 6,000 because I need to know what the calories are, but that's written in English. In maths, we don't use the word of, we'd write the symbol times. I want to know what 1/12 times 6,000 is. This line here though is a dividing line. So it's a bit like me writing 1 times 6,000 all divided by 12, because we've got the times sign here and that's our divide sign there as well. So 1 times 6,000 is 6,000, and I've got to divide that by 12. And we all know the easiest way to do division is to use short division, or the bus stop method, don't we? So 12s into 6, they don't fit, do they? So I'm going to carry the 6 into the next column where it's worth 10 times as much. 12s into 60, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. They go exactly 5 times. 12s don't go into 0, and they don't go into 0 again. So each slice is 500 calories of my cake. It is going to be really yummy though. I wonder how many calories that would be if I sneakily had another piece of cake, because I do love cake. I wonder what 2/12 of 6,000 is. Remember, in maths we put times, don't we? We've worked out what 1/12 is. 1/12 equals 500, doesn't it? If we want to find out what 2/12 are, we can double that, can't we? 500 times 2 gives us 1,000 calories. And maybe I need to wait till tomorrow to have another slice of cake, because that's an awful lot. We can do that in 2 ways. The way we just did it, which is to find out what 1/12 is, and then times that by 2. And that's probably the easiest way to do it. You can also do it 2 times 6,000. I'm going to do it up at the top here where I've got space. So 2 times 6,000, which is 12,000, and then divide that by 12, just like we said here. 1 times 6,000. Here we've got 2 times 6,000, and then we need to divide by 12. So I'm actually going to change by the way I've written that. So that's 12,000 divided by 12, which is 1,000. We end up with the same answer, just like we should. Here are a few examples of some fractions of amounts. 1/2 of 16. Remember, we're going to take this number and we're going to divide it by our denominator. So we're going to have 16 divided by 2, which gives us 8. Because it's only one part, we're just going to have to do that division. 16 divided by 2. For this one, we can do exactly the same thing. 20 divided by 5. Slightly trickier numbers, which is why these are silver, not bronze. 20 divided by 5 is going to be 4. For our gold one, it gets slightly trickier now because we have more than one part. But what we're going to do is find 1/5 first. So we're going to have 1/5 of 20. Well, we already worked out that 20 divided by 5 is 4. So if we want 2/5 of 20, we know that it's got to be 4 times 2, which gives us 8. So our answer is 8. Our platinum level questions get really tricky because then when we want to find out what 2/5 of 20 more than 20 is, so we're going to have our 20 divided by 5, just like we did before, to find out 1/5, and that gives us the 4 again. We've timesed it by 2 to give us 8, and now we're going to have those numbers added together, the 20 and the 8, which is 28. Have a try.